So it's took a while, but we are on to our final in-depth breakdown for Marvel's Midnight Suns. That is, of course, unless I decide to cover the Hunter, but I'm still figuring out how to do that. Given the fact they have 30 cards, it would be a pretty complicated video. But for the final one of the main Marvel existing characters, it's Ghost Rider we'll look at. I had a lot of requests for this one. I've been putting it off because he's a pretty complex character, and I'm still struggling a little bit to get my head around his kit. Now, in the video anyway, we'll start off with a quick overview. We'll talk about Ghost Rider's general playstyle. We'll then check out his cards first. I'll tell you which ones I recommend. We have stats next, where we talk about the stat priority. We then have Hangouts in the friendship system. Moving on from that, we have the solution to his challenge mission, and then finishing up, I'll give my general thoughts and a quick summary once again. Now, if the video is helpful, take the time to hit the like, share and subscribe button, and bear in mind I've now done one of these for all the main characters in the game, once again with the exception of the Hunter, so feel free to check them out if you find this one useful. But let's dive in. Let's start off with the overview first. So Ghost Rider then, I would say, is possibly the most complex character in the game. He's one that you can get a huge amount of damage out of him, but there's a lot of mechanics going on with him. That's the reason I've left his particular video to last. Now, just to break down some of the mechanics. So firstly, you've got his Souls mechanic. This is tied in with his passive. With this, you can gain kills to boost your health pool. You can boost it by up to 30%. That is relevant because you can do more damage based on your current health. You can also take damage to boost the damage on certain cards. You can sacrifice your health to deal increased damage in some instances, and he also has several very powerful cards that will discard other cards in your hand as well. So without a doubt, he's got the highest skill ceiling in the game, probably a little bit above what I'm capable of doing, to be honest, and that's why I've left him to last, and I put it off as long as I actually could. So I imagine players that are really good at this kind of game will get some pretty amazing results out of him. Personally, I struggled a little bit with him. But that is a quick breakdown. Let's go in now and let's have a look at his cards. So heroes then have access to 10 different cards in total. Of course, your total deck size is only 8, so you will have to drop some cards. So I'll let you know here which cards I like and which ones I most likely wouldn't take. First card we have, majority of the heroes have a card such as this. This is called Lash, so it's forceful knockback in any direction. It's got quick, so you'll use this card to take out your lower level minions, and it doesn't cost a card play. I would use 1 or 2 of these cards per hero. They really are pretty useful. On top of this as well, when you use it, Ghost Rider takes damage. Now this is actually great because he has a card that we'll look at later on, and the damage in this card goes up every time you actually take damage. Now, in regards to mods, I'm not going to get too deep on them in this particular video, but I will mention I managed to get lifesteal on this particular card, which sounded absolutely amazing, and it would be amazing if it worked, but it doesn't. I've tried various different scenarios of doing damage with this particular card, and I don't get any health back at all. When that's fixed, and when you can actually use this to take damage to boost the damage of a card we're going to look at later on, and get your health back on the same card as well, then it'll be an amazing combination. The next card we have here is Retribution. This will generate 1 heroism for you. It does a real nice amount of base damage, and it's got knockback on it at all. You also gain 2 souls when you use this card, which is really nice for upping your damage and upping your health in the long run. But the big problem I have with this is that you discard a random card. So there's a card I've already touched on, the fact that when you take damage, the damage in this particular card will go up, so you can be boosting the damage in this one up. You can get it to a real nice amount. You use Retribution, and then your random card that's discarded could be that card, or it could be your Legendary Midnight Suns card, and another really nice card you're holding on to. So the bonuses of this card for me don't offset the fact that you're going to lose a random card, so I wouldn't use this one at all. The next card we have here is Hellmouth. This one, you create a drop with an increased chance to knock out enemies for 2 turns. You also gain 1 strength, and 1 strengthen boosts the damage of your cards by a whopping 50%. With this, you'll gain 2 heroism as well. Now drops, I don't use them too much because even with the increased chance to kill enemies with them, it's still a percentage, and it's bringing in almost that element of XCOM where you can miss with an attack to percent, and that you can hit an enemy towards a drop and you won't necessarily take them out. so I don't really make use of the drop, but I really like the strengthened, and if you use this before using some of these harder hitting cards, your damage numbers will go through the roof. So this is a card worth using, but once again, not necessarily for the drop that it's creating, but for the buff you get from it instead. This next card here is nice for getting your health back up, so you want to use this before you use cards that do damage based on your current health. It's called Straight to Hell, this one. You replace Ghost Rider with a drop until the next turn. In this instance you're recovering 233 health, I think it's around about 25% of his health pool, or maybe closer to a third actually. It's got Final on it as well, so when you use this you can't use any other Ghost Rider cards for that particular turn, so just do bear that in mind. It's generating 2 heroism. I will just say from a mod perspective, I managed to get 3 on this, which means it doesn't cost a card play at all. It means the heroism generated is 0, but it's really nice to have this where at the end of a turn, like if enemies are targeting Ghost Rider for example, or if you need a little bit of health, you can use this and you don't have to worry about saving a card play for it. So mod wise, I would go for the free version, and then it can be really nice. So this next card here, I've actually recorded this section a few times, I have no idea how you say it, I think it's Amoliate. Let me know in the comments below if that's right or wrong, but for this card, enemies KO'd by Ghost Rider will explode. This instance, 96 damage, that's for 2 turns, and it's generating 2 heroism as well. So the reason for that mechanic is that Ghost Rider will get harmed as well, and again you've got a card we're going to see pretty soon. The damage on that card is boosted when Ghost Rider takes damage, even from his own cards in a roundabout way, such as this one. The only thing I'll mention that puts me off using this particular card is that the explosion will harm allies as well, so for that reason I don't really feel that it's worthwhile using. So we have another card here that can be used to regenerate your health, so you'll be looking to use potentially this or Straight to Hell. So this one is called Drain Soul. It's a heroic card, so it's 1 heroic energy. You chain 2 times with this, you gain lifesteal on the damage you do. If you do a full combo, that means you use a full chain on one enemy, you'll gain 1 soul, and with this card you give all Drain Soul cards plus 1 chain plus 1 heroism cost. So what that means is the next time you play it will cost an additional heroism to use, but it'll chain to an additional enemy, meaning you're doing more damage, which means you get more health back. So there probably could be a playstyle where you drop as many of these cards into your deck as you actually can, and you just try and really ramp your chains up. But in order to do that, you'll need to have a character that can generate a lot of heroism for you. This next card we have here, it's called Hellride. It's got the best animation in the game, I would say. It's amazing. I grin like an idiot every time I see it. It does a whopping amount of damage as well, so it damages each enemy in a line. The big problem I have with this card, and the reason I don't actually use it myself, is you discard your entire hand when you use this. Yes, you have some situations where this may be the last card in your hand, but it doesn't happen most of the time, and you're looking to have really as many cards in your hand as possible, so you've got more options available. So sadly, as much as the animation is amazing, this isn't a card I would use. The next heroic card we have here is called Judgment. This is a really nice card, so it's only 1 heroism, which is great. With this you consume 25% of Ghost Rider's health, so that's his current health, not his max health pool. So before using this you want to use some of the other cards we've looked at to max out and boost his health. Once you've done that, you'll do 2 damage for each health. The damage numbers in this can be pretty bonkers. It also damages nearby enemies, and I was lucky enough to get a mod on it that the wording of it was it moderately increases the size of the AoE explosion, and it can actually be really pretty huge when you do this. So this is a really nice card. Just make sure you boosted your health back up before you actually use it. So last we have the card that we've been talking about in a roundabout way for quite a while. So this is called Hell's Fury. It's only 1 heroism. It's got a whopping amount of base damage on it. While it's in your hand, it gains equivalent of 25% of the base damage of the card the next time Ghost Rider is damaged by an attack or a Ghost Rider ability. And you've seen from the other cards we looked at, there's a lot of cards that can damage Ghost Rider in his kit. So the idea with this is damage Ghost Rider as much as you can without knocking him out. Of course, you'll boost the damage way up on this card. The amazing thing about it, from the testing I've done, it appears that, let's say you boosted it up to something like 700 damage and then you used it. A turn or so later you might be lucky enough to have this come back into your hand. It looks like it remembers the damage numbers on that, so it won't drop back down to what the base would be here, 256. It would stay at the boosted amount, and that allows you to just keep boosting it again. So this could be a pretty wild card, this one. So it wouldn't be Ghost Rider if we didn't have Penance there in his kit somehow. So legendary Midnight Suns card, this one, 4 heroism to use. You consume 50% of your current Ghost Rider health to deal damage, and you get 4 damage for each 1 health that you consume. So damage numbers in this can get pretty crazy. Earlier on in testing, I actually one-shotted a fallen Scarlet Witch, which was a lot of fun to do. With this as well, it will fill the souls meter, and it's got exhaust on it, meaning you can only use it once. So this is another one you want to keep in your hand until you have a boss potentially come in, and then you can just absolutely nail them with it. So that is all the cards. Let's go in now and let's talk about the stat priority. Via the daily sparring system in the game, you are able to focus on particular stats that you want to increase for a hero. Now with Ghost Rider, I would say there's actually 4 stats he really benefits from. Being a pure damage dealer character, he will of course benefit from crit chance and crit damage. Because he has a lot of knockbacks in his kit, you can benefit from focusing on the strength stat. That will increase the distance of the knockback. Another stat that can work really nice, because he's got this mechanic whereby he'll sacrifice health to boost the damage of cards, and meaning your health can get a little bit on the lower side, then willpower can be really nice. It maxed out at 20%. This is a hard cap for that. It will give you back 100 health per turn. It's not a huge amount, but it does add up, and it's certainly better than nothing anyway. But that's the stats I would focus on. Let's talk about the Hangouts and the friendship system next. So I've now actually put out an infographic. It's available on Twitter and it's available on Reddit. It lets you know the best hangouts for all the different characters, but for the purpose of this video and just for keeping the format the same as the previous characters that we've covered in this series, for Ghost Rider, if you want to get the most friendship points, which is really important because you can get stat boosts on the back of it, but to get the most friendship points you want to do fishing, playing video games, pool lounging and watching a movie. He loves all of them. When you get your havens, you can go to once per playthrough during the day. The one you want to choose for that he loves would be fishing. So that's the friendship system. Let's go in now, let's talk about the challenge mission. So the challenge mission then, this is essentially a puzzle sort, so it unlocks at level 5 once you max out the friendship for your character. Locked behind this and the completion of it will be your legendary Midnight Suns costume and also your legendary Midnight Suns card, of course, Penance there. Pretty amazing card for Ghost Rider. Now, as mentioned, it's a puzzle, it's not a combat scenario, so the footage I'm showing off here in the background, you have to follow this exactly. You need to do it step by step. If you do this, you'll be able to complete it and you'll unlock that pretty awesome legendary Midnight Suns card. Now I'll let this gameplay play out here, and then in just a moment what we'll do is we'll finish up with a general summary. So Ghost Rider then, as mentioned earlier on in the video, was definitely one of the most complex characters in the game. For myself, I really do like to keep things pretty simple, so I find the skill ceiling on him, whilst you could get some pretty amazing results from it, I don't really enjoy it because I find there's a lot going on in the game as it is. When you add in all the different mechanics Ghost Rider has, for me personally it's a little bit too much to juggle. If you're someone that is looking to really ramp up the amount of strategy involved in the game, then I imagine Ghost Rider will be a great character for you. Now with that, that's everything you need to know about Ghost Rider, and with that, that's all 12 heroes in the game covered in regards to in-depth breakdowns for them. What I'm going to do next is go in and I'm going to do some Ultimate Free gameplay on heroes, and I'll show the cards and I'll show the mods I'm using for them as well. So essentially an endgame build of sorts I will be looking to do as well. Now as always, if the video's been helpful, take the time to hit the like, share and subscribe button, and thanks for tuning in. Stay safe and I'll see you all again soon.